let's start with the head, right? We start with the head for now because we want to use the head as our reference, right? I'm blocking the head and I'm not gonna measure too much. I just remember the ratio height to width, right? And listen, don't worry if you mess up the proportion now, it's okay. We just need to doing it and then we'll eventually refine our measurement, right? So this is going to be an isonometry, so it's not going to be affected by perspective, right? So now we have blocking the head here, right? And then we block in the side of the head, and we block in the back of the head like that, right? So this is the head of my guy, right? And then I see, okay, now I'm gonna block in the rib cage, and I block in the rib cage from the front, thinking it's about a third of a head here, right? More or less. If this is a third, more or less here, this is tilted, so it could be a little bit more than that. And we can block in now this side, the top of the rib cage, like that, right? Like this, and the neck. Now I look at the top of the rib cage and say, you know what? I don't know if this is 1 1/4. Maybe it could be bigger. Wait a second, I have the head here, so let's use this and look at that and say, okay, yeah, it's okay. It looks good. So you see, I got this, Andrea. See that? What we're doing, because we established this, right? We're asking about the tool, right? Establish this, right? So take this now, right? And that's one. This should be 1 1/4, especially because it's facing me. So, and that's about 1 1/4. See that? So at this level, I can really
So this is a man. We're doing a man in action.
yeah,
correct?
yeah. We're doing a man, right?
Cool.
Now let's see. This is now straight like this, right? And so the height of the pelvis, right? Oh, sorry, of the rib cage. How big is that? It's about a little bit more than 1 1/2 heads. So let's check this out, right? Take this, 1 half, a little bit here, 1 1/2, a little bit more from the front, right? A little bit more than 1 1/2. So there is a specific measurement, but I don't want to give it to you in the sense that I don't want it to be, actually it's in the book. So it's 1 3/8. It's the same length as the arm, right? So, but a little bit more than 1 1/2 is good, right? We're blocking now the side of the rib cage, and now we start seeing how these segments are tilted, right? So this is tilted this way, this is tilted this way, right? Now we have here in the hips, and now maybe I give it a pelvic tilt like this, right? So I keep the same measurements. For now, I'm gonna have these two facing me, right? Like this, so it's less complex. Later, we're gonna maybe have them also tilting, but also facing different direction, right? So this is the width, right, here. And remember, this come down like that, and that's fine. But remember, the depth of this is smaller than the depth of this, right? The depth of the pelvis is smaller than the depth of the rib cage. So what I do, once I establish this, which is easy to do this, I slice off a piece. And now I have a more accurate volume for the pelvis, which needs to be less deep than the rib cage, right? Now I block in intuitively the size of the pelvis, right? And I know now that how big should that be? Remember how tall the pelvis should be. 1 head. So I take this, put it here, and if I had done a good job, I'm happy about that. So now, theoretically speaking, I should have between here and here about 4 heads, right? But because of the tilt, the twist, it might not be exactly that. But let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, more or less, it works, right? So about 4 heads, right? So now we could do this. We could block in the pubic bone here and do two things. One, take this upper half and then bring it down here. Or keep measuring what we have done so far, right? Let's keep measuring. So we practice the measuring also because this method would work best only when I have a figure fairly straight and not if I have a flex leg, for example, right? So or flex leg. So let's keep measuring, right? So from what we could do now to introduce a little bit of complexity is to find the root of the leg, right? And this goes back to what, David, you were asking about before, the leg. Where does it start? So leg, the pure stereometric rendering start from here. But if we want to show the length of the whole femur, it would start from halfway the height of the pelvis. So here now we have this. We can do that, right? This would be the leg right here. Now we can block in the leg here, making it a little bit wider here, right? Wider here at the pelvis, or not, but let's block this in a little bit wider here. And now we want this to be 2 heads, right? So take this, 2 heads. 1, 2, right? So that would be that small. I don't like it. Let me see. We're gonna cheat a little bit, right? 1, 2, it's there, but I'm gonna make it a little bit longer. I don't like it, it's too short. If you measure, right, and then you put down the stuff, the drawing, the measurement, and you don't like it, trust that instinct, right? Also because so we might have done a small little mistake here or there, but also in the end, you have to remember this is a tool. You cannot rely on this to find aesthetic, to find dynamism, etc. Yeah, it can guide you, but if there's something wrong, you don't like it, trust that. That's your final responsibility, is the aesthetic aspect of your artwork, right? Now we block this in. Now we take these 2 heads, these 2 heads, right? And then we move it down to the bottom where we find the feet, the heel, right? This is going to be the feet, right? So maybe this leg is slightly bent like this, right? And then here we have the foot, 1/3 up, the foot, and the foot comes out down as a wedge like this, right? So the way you draw the foot, it could be as a wedge like this, right? That would be the foot, right? But you can also draw it like this eventually, right? Later on, we're gonna draw it like this. Instead of a block, a circle, which is faster. And then on top of this, we put a wedge that is slightly more modeled, like that. So that's gonna be the foot. The advantage of this is that it blocks in very, very quickly the 3-dimensionality of the foot without getting lost in the detail of the knuckles or the toes, etc. And also, it's easy to find the angle of the foot in relation to the horizontal line. So you block in your horizontal line, and you don't look at the whole foot. You look only at this side of the foot that touches the ground, and how is that angled? And then you build up the foot around that, right? So now here, what we have a leg here like this. Maybe this is flexed now, right? So because this is flexed, I don't really worry too much about the proportion here when I build it up. So I'm gonna make it look good, right? But here now I would have the side, see that? The top, and here I can block in the section of that. Because if I block in the section, it's easier for me